So please welcome Dana Kippel to the show. Welcome, Dana.
Hello. I
All the
would
way
do this.
from Florida. She's
Yes.
here. Oh,
Yes.
Dana, like I said before we hit record, I have gone down your rabbit hole and you attracted me to you on Instagram when the drones were flying over
Oh,
the East
yeah,
Coast.
okay.
And you were explaining it as plasma. So I
Yeah.
sent your video to about like 10 million of my friends.
My
I'm like,
God.
oh, it called you like made sense to me. I'm like, okay, this woman knows something. So
Yeah.
that's my first Dana experience.
Oh,
Now
that's funny.
connecting to you, and then I start learning, and it's definitely way over my head, but I've definitely learned a lot, and I'm ready for this interview. But
Mhm.
I've heard little bits and pieces of your childhood, but the one little part was that your biological dad got struck by lightning before.
Yes.
I mean, that part to me is like, no wonder. I
The-
mean, tell me, explain your childhood because I think it's fascinating
I'm
because you're
so glad you brought
adopted.
that up. Yeah. Yeah. No one brought that up yet in any interviews, and I've like been waiting for
Oh,
someone to.
good. I did.
Yes. So yeah, I think it's fascinating. I didn't know that, I think, until a few years ago. So my birth father, his name is Eddie. So my adopted dad's name is Eddie too. Um, my birth father, his name is Eddie Sturgeon. He's, in his 50s. And he let me know that he's almost died several times. He has had cancer. And then he goes, I was struck by lightning twice. And I was like, well, when was the first time? And when we did the math, it was literally right before I was conceived. He met my birth mom in a chance encounter. They met once, they slept together once, and then
Wow.
never saw each other again. And it was right after his lightning strike. And I was like, I came from the plasma. So I
Totally.
thought it was, so anyway, that was a real, when he told me that, I kind of was like, great, this is my origin story. Like it just seems so mythic. My dog is getting jealous. I'm talking to someone besides her. If she barks, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'll
Mine's in
try
here
to
too.
ignore her. And then, yeah, I mean, my childhood, you wanted to know just a little bit about it, I guess.
Yeah, because I
Or-
know you have like, I mean, we all have trauma, but
Yeah,
I kind of want to understand like where you came from and all
yeah.
that.
Okay, so yes, I was adopted from birth. I've always known I was adopted. I just remember knowing, I think my parents, brought me to some adoption party where they told us when we were little. I don't really know. And I remember at first it didn't really upset me or bother me until later in life when I think I realized how subconsciously adoption affects anyone who's adopted, which is no one's fault. It's just a severance of, you and the mother. It's the same as a perceived severance of like us and source or us and plasma. Um, and then yeah, for just a lot of my life growing up, I never felt connected. That's the best way to describe it. Like my biggest weakness was like not feeling connected to my family, knowing I wasn't fully part of them, and I didn't feel very understood. And then I didn't feel connected to my birth mom because I never, saw her. So I was like, I'm an alien. I'm dissociated. I'm having all these feelings that are too strong. And I kind of just like disconnected from myself. And through that, and so much else happened. Like, I had trauma with my gymnastics teacher was a child molester, and you can, make your own imagination about that. And he's in jail. And then, I had, a lot of bullying and, mental health and addiction issues. But all of that to say, I want to take any of it back because I think it helps me help people now. It doesn't mean I wish it didn't happen, but in a way, I am like weirdly grateful for my life at the same time because my biggest weakness of connection is why I dove into connection. And somehow on that journey, I found plasma, which is literally like synonymous with connection, which I'll explain. So, anyway, that's whatever just came out, came out.
Yeah. No, I love it. But so then let's go forward because this is recent. And when I started learning about plasma, and all I can think of is Dana's taught her words, plasma. But in 2021, you were doing your transcendental meditations and getting into that. So
Yeah.
what even drew you into that kind of meditation?
I actually don't think I'd ever have meditated because once again, I think I didn't feel safe in my body because a lot of the trauma I went through just my entire life. So I was always like living from here up. So when I started I wanted to start meditation because I was feeling a lot of pain from a boyfriend really hurt me, a cheating scandal that he ensued, and emotional cheating. And I just felt so much pain, and I didn't realize how many wounds that brought up from betrayal, just from like all parts of my life, and trust issues. So when that happened, I went to do transcendental meditation. I just thought it would fix me. And it was like the beginning of this whole journey. By, the first or second time I met, or, well, in the first couple times I meditated, I was able to connect with my body. First, I felt bliss the first time I did it. Then the second time I did transcendental meditation, I felt complete fear. Like I just remembered so many horrible things. And
Hmm.
then like around the third or fourth time or wherever, somewhere in there, the stuff about plasma just came flowing in. Like it's always been my destiny. I just never was connected to my intuition because I had to disconnect. Because if I listened to my intuition and understood the things that happened to me, I don't think I would have been able to like survive, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
even remember what
totally.
the question was, but hopefully I made sense in that.
Yeah, just from, when that plasma message
Oh,
was
yes.
came to you in your
It came to
download.
me um, when I was just starting to reconnect with my intuition after, since childhood, severing from that. But I was very intuitive as a kid, up until I, cut it off, obviously.
Right. Were you into science and math? Have-
Actually, yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if the word into is the right word. So when I was younger, I was into fantasy and aliens and other worlds, and I always believed in magic. And then in school, I was like, 98th percentile math and science my whole life, and quantitative reasoning, and gifted at all that stuff. But no one really paid attention to me in that way because I had such behavioral issues. So no one thought I was like very smart. People just, and if I didn't enjoy it, I didn't apply myself. So I think it never got enriched. Like it was recommended to my parents to enrich me in those ways, but I don't think anyone really knew how, if that make like it's not like I just liked math and science. I liked something beyond that, obviously, which is what I'm doing now. So it's very misunderstood. But yes, math and science I love, and I just understand it.
Mm-hmm.
That
Oh,
makes
you do you ever? Like, because I'm so not that. So I just really look at you and like, oh, geez, that's just such a amazing way to understand. Like, I just don't get it. It's so interesting how our brains work.
I will say though, like if you're a mathematician or scientist, this is why I've always felt so out of place because someone like you obviously doesn't understand that, and then, but is probably very good in other ways, like emotions and stuff. And then someone like who is a mathematician or scientist, just like a cut and dry one, they think I'm weird because I'm saying stuff expanded from what's in textbooks. It's from my own head. So they think I'm so wrong.
Right. Because
So
it's not
like
textbook. Right.
so I'm just confusing. I mean, at least this was my life until now. I'm starting to feel like I'm like finding people, but most of my life it was just like, where do I belong? Like, where are my people? Like, I'm not fitting in literally any, even in the spiritual world. I don't fit in that world because I'm between science and spirituality. So I'm
Mhm.
just like, I am plasma. I'm in this liminal space. And it took all of this for me to realize like I'm the only one that needs to accept myself. And then
Right.
other people will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. It will be a mirror of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But tell me about before we get into plasma, everyone about your movies and how you're into acting and directing and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of my life I love. I would say acting, I've maybe recently realized I don't love as much. I love directing and writing. Um, and maybe acting in my own stuff or stuff I'm really loving, but I don't like to act just to act. I'd rather read my books and do my own stuff. But directing, I love. I have one film called Reflect, which is a science fiction metaphysical film about shadow work and Sedona and women and female relationships, and that's on Amazon and Apple. And then I have another film, two films that I would like to make in the next, 5 to 10 years. And I love filmmaking. It's more that like I'm waiting for the industry to kind of fall apart, and I'm waiting for an opening to make my next movie where I don't feel like I'm in this old paradigm of Hollywood where there's like control and suppression of voices like mine. And yeah, I don't like it right now. So I took a step back from that.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
get it. That's
Yeah.
no, it's just amazing. And I think of, as a mom, like I look at my girls, right, and to see their little interests that they have, and kind of watching your journey and how it'll bring you to where you are right now, which is
Mm.
your total purpose,
Finally.
regardless of what you had to get there,
Yeah.
And I always say like the yellow brick road, and you could take
Yeah.
the right or the left. It doesn't matter. They're both
You'll get
right. They're
there.
not
Yeah.
wrong, but you'll
No,
figure out how to get to where you are now at
yeah.
35 and doing your fulfilling this.
Yeah.
I feel like it's your soul's purpose for
Yes.
sure. I mean,
Yes.
there's no way. If you, everyone listening, you have to go to Instagram or TikTok and type in Dana Kippel and you will
Plasma.
see what I mean. What?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I feel like I finally have met myself. Like my whole life, and my whole life, like, of course, I was like parts of myself, but hiding in a way. But like, all of that needed to happen to be who I am now, which is why it's so important for everyone, like you're saying, to know that there's no wrong way, there's no wrong steps. Like, no matter how much horrific pain you're in, like, it will lead to something if you embrace healing those things. If you don't heal them, I don't know where that leads. I think that leads to, more pain, which is what sucks. So as long as you wake up to healing yourself eventually, I think that's kind of what wakes you up to yourself.
Right, for sure. Okay, let's get into the plasma,
Mhm.
and really like when you had that download that
Mhm.
day, just what, 4 year, 2021, like it's not that long ago that
Mhm.
that came through you. And it was, there's something, so this is kind of my understanding. So
Mhm.
plasma and consciousness,
Yes.
female, male,
Yeah.
people were missing the female, and that's the plasma. Okay, that's,
Yes.
I'm there right now.
Great. No, I mean, I love that's all you need to know, really. It's literally plasma, and like let's talk in those terms. Plasma is the fabric of reality. It's how consciousness experiences itself. It's the mirror that reflects consciousness, or the clay that consciousness molds. It's not just like what most, no offense, but like with a lot of men and logical men, they're all like consciousness, consciousness. And it's like then everything would be talking at each other. There'd be no evolution. It would be complete like lightning chaos. There wouldn't be humans, there wouldn't be bodies. So anyway, plasma represents mythologically the divine feminine, the female that was her wild, exuberant, I don't know if that's a word, but wild, like lively, whimsical self. And then somewhere along the way in history, got suppressed because people got fearful of that, like she was too much. And, logic and consciousness came in, not even on purpose, maybe, but were like scared of her and turned her into this devil. And then through that process, somehow in history, we've just forgot about her. And for whatever reason, right now, she's resurfacing. And I'm remembering that. And I think a lot of other people are too, no matter what they want to call it, doesn't matter. But I love the word plasma because that's what it is. They're studying it in science. So to
Right.
me, I mean, I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm sure there's margin for error with everyone, but I really think I'm onto that something.
Yeah, you are. Well,
Yeah.
especially when you look back in the Tesla and the even
Mm,
further back from that, people that have studied it, but have really, when you say, have missed the female energy part of it.
yeah. Yeah. So that's so funny because in the past 100 years, we have reconnected with it in a scientific way where they have studied it. They called it radiant matter, or they called it luminiferous ether and then said it wasn't real. But luminiferous ether was something in the early 1900s they called it, but it was a dead ether. It was not a living ether. So it was disproved because basically they did this test and they were like, there's no ether propagating light. Light doesn't need ether. Like, anyway, it's a stupid science thing. But the point is, they were doing the test wrong. And then all of a sudden, ether went away. And then, like 20 years later, someone discovers plasma. But there's no more talk of mysticalness, or like when they spoke about the luminiferous ether in the late 1800s, the guy who literally first discovered radiant matter and plasma. But it doesn't say in history he did. Sir William Crookes, he talked about how it was paranormal, how it would lead to us healing ourselves, how it would lead to telekinesis and telepathy. And then everyone kind of shushed him. And anyway, that all went away. Plasma came about. And then, the government started testing plasma for fusion, how to make capital gain off of it, how to use it in science, but it's like everyone forgot and no one knew that it's like this mystical goddess, and it's like a unicorn, and science is like harnessing it in all the wrong ways.
Hmm.
But they're starting to use it in some good ways too, like cold plasma. They're using to do um, operations to heal cancer, non-invasive operations to heal bladder cancer. They're using it to clean the air. I think of like bad carbon dioxide or something, and they're using it to clean car engines, and like vampire facials use plasma. So there's ways to
Oh,
harm
yeah.
plasma, is my point.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah,
So I'm kind of lead it so you can kind of understand, because the people listening might be at the level of me. But so
yeah.
now understanding it, it's like when we dream, when we telepathy,
Mhm.
remote astral travel, all those things, that's plasma.
So that is all in the plasma field. So
Okay.
could get into it a little more. So if plasma, let's just say it's this like dimensionless or multidimensional plasma that makes up the fabric of our reality. Like every bit you see in you and me, it's almost like we're made of clay. And let's say that consciousness is shaping how we look, but plasma is what makes us up at like the lowest quantum levels. Like, inside the atom there's just this plasma soup, right? And even beneath that, that's when you get into the dreams and the astral projection. So when we have our dreams, they're images, we're seeing them.
Right.
It's obviously made of something. It's not dead air. So as much as this reality, I say everything's made of plasma, that dream world is made of that plasma in a more archetypal way, where our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs are shaping that field. And that field seeps into this reality.
Right.
So yeah, and the way telekinesis or the way telepathy is possible is, a lot of non verbal autistic kids do this. If they are think of a thought block or a visual in their head, they could send that visual to another nonverbal autistic kid, and that is telepathy. So they're literally seeing into this plasma field and using it to communicate, where most of us are just using it for ourselves without even realizing it, if that makes any sense.
Right. But do you feel like, because, now that I've found you and I'm learning about it, do you feel like, why now? And do you see it less like our Earth is shifting? We just finished the Kali Yuga,
Yeah,
we finished the 12,000 year cycle. Now we're
yeah,
moving to the age of Aquarius,
mhm,
540, 5D. Is
yeah.
that, I mean, I feel like you were getting this call
It.
in 2021 because you had to be one of the leaders to start this momentum of this
On the
earth
frontier.
shifting and the awareness of that.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point. I always want to answer every question at once. So this 4D space I'm speaking of, this dream astral projection, this archetypal emotional space, it's a liminal space. Our consciousness has kind of been in that space for probably a few hundred years. That's, where the realm of storytelling, even a few thousand years maybe. And I think we're at the end of that. Like where, when like cavemen were using tools to survive, and then all of a sudden we started creating tools like technology and entertainment. And so I think that was like 3D survival consciousness. And
Right.
then now we've been in like 4D emotional consciousness. And then 5D is like a transcendent consciousness, which is what I think is seeping in, or we're shifting into. Whereas, like, we're all of a sudden, instead of our tools being technology or storytelling, our tools are plasma and consciousness. So we're a multidimensional self. We're a fifth dimensional self remembering ourself, where we know we're on multiple timelines in many dimensions, and we're co creating reality. So we're realizing, we're waking up to the fact in these early times of this 5D existence that no, I can reprogram my reality. Like I could believe new things and attract new people. Like that logic was not around even 100 years ago, maybe, so
Right.
we're at the very beginnings of shaping our reality, and where that is heading is into, where we will have telekinesis, where we will be able to look at different timelines and learn from Dana and this timeline, who's a figure skater, take that and learn that and download that into this reality. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I had this, you're just reminding me, I had a past life regression last week, and I got through, in the beginning, I saw this huge piano keys, like a big long piano, and each key was a past life of mine. And I
Uh,
went down and I would hit that one and I'd see that life. And then I would bring something from that life to this life. But you
no.
just kind of described that to me.
Yeah, yes, and we're doing it now. We're all, I mean, here's the thing. This I'm not talking about saying in 300 years, like we'll do this in our lifetime. Like I don't think people realize how fast this is going to happen. And do I think we're going to like create new planets with our minds in this lifetime? Probably not. But then again, like this is more the fantastical part of me, but hypothetically, if we were all to evolve really quickly together, that would mean our whole collective consciousness evolves to where we can influence space-time geometry and create new worlds. I'm not saying that's definitely realistic, but that is where we're headed. But at least in this lifetime, if we do merge, if we're merging with our actual multidimensional self and we wake up to that, I feel like that's true immortality, if that makes sense, because we'll learn how to stretch time. So there
Right.
won't be time. So I don't know. It's really weird. It's hard to wrap even my head around.
Yeah. But when you say something about the veil, like the plasma is the veil that we talk about.
Yeah, I plasma just makes it all up. It's here, there's a good example actually. So plasma, if it's the clay that we're molding for all these experiences, it's what we're reprogramming. So like you know how we have an aura,
Yes.
that's made of plasma, but it's a little bit denser. So it's almost like if you picture plasma, like we're all in a plasma painting, and it's just what makes up the paint, and it's all like different gradients. Our bioplasma, our aura is programmable, just like all plasma. Reality is programmable,
Right.
right? So that's when you start to realize my consciousness, my awareness can program reality. Reality is malleable and it's made of plasma. So when we have our aura, and let's say that our consciousness is in our aura, because it's probably outside of us a little bit, when we reprogram that bubble, that plasma bubble with our beliefs, that changes how we see the world or the outer plasma. So plasma is really just the intelligent, clay of this reality. And the difference, I would say, if no one's heard this before, is realizing that our reality is not like dead. It's alive and intelligent. So this fabric of reality that we can program or shift with our consciousness for better or for worse, by the way. Like, if you're in a state of fear, or if you have low self-worth, like I've had for a lot of, my life until now, I always saw everyone as a danger because my beliefs created how,
Right.
and now I don't, and it's literally shifting how I see people. So it's proving to me that our reality is made up of something that's all
Right.
connected. So anyway, plasma is the glue that basically just it's like if we live in a quilt, yeah, or a painting, that's what plasma makes. But the thing that I really want to drill into people is that it has its own intelligence. So if I say right now, I believe wholeheartedly that I'm going to meet my husband tomorrow, and I really believe that, and then it doesn't happen, that's because plasma is like the Akashic field. It's holding all past, present, futures. So, and it's almost like how God or the mystery kind of works through it. So if it knows that that's not for our highest alignment, it won't happen no matter how much we will it. So it's
Right.
important for people to know you're not a total God or a total creator. You're a co-creator with plasma because of that, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you're such a good teacher. So to explain emotions,
Yeah.
but explain like you made it, there's like emotions and feelings and how that
Yeah.
connects to the plasma.
Yeah. So, I mean, plasma literally just like is emotion or feeling. It's plasma is waves of emotion. If you really think about it, on one level, obviously it's a multidimensional meaning, but so fourth dimensionally in plasma, the way our consciousness interfaces with it. So, okay, three dimensionally in this reality, how we've usually lived is we've interfaced with plasma in a way where it's for survival, where most of us have been on autopilot a lot of our lives, or we're unconscious of what we're creating, but we are creating. And then there is this fourth dimensional, plasma we're interfacing with our consciousness, and that is the emotional realm. So we when we, my dog is so distracting. Sorry, I got too heady. Let me just go back to emotions. Okay, so emotions are fourth dimensional. Emotions can be from fear or from love, and then it kind of colors all the emotions we have. Emotions, are literally just energy in motion. Emotion is just plasma in motion. But if we feel emotion from our limiting belief systems, we will feel we're feeling it wrong, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to really explain it, but if we're feeling emotion from our limited belief systems, which most of us are, we don't just let emotions pass through us like waves. We don't feel them. We resist a lot of it. Like we're creating a lot of disruption and sickness and cancer in our own field because we're not letting things pass.
Mm.
We're resisting or we're holding on. So if we learn to embrace these emotional waves of all emotions, every single emotion, because want us to understand you're meant to feel it all negative,
Right.
all positive. They're flow. It's our collective 4D consciousness field. We're going to feel everything of everyone. And when there are natural disasters, we're going to feel it more. So expect, if you're really connected, you'll cry on those days. So my point is, when you're open to feeling in that way, where you're not attaching a story or belief to it, but you're just able to go through your life feeling. And of course, sometimes it's personalized. It's not always not. And you learn to decipher the nuances of that. That is called feeling. When you're feeling from a fifth dimensional place, all of a sudden emotions become feeling. When you're feeling from a place of awe and curiosity. So even if it's pain or sadness or anger, you're more aware when you're feeling those things. You don't let it victimize you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But when you're saying like, there's an intelligence, they have an intelligence of their own, of the plasma. But when I can program it with
Mhm.
my vibration, with the way
Yes.
I'm feeling, the
Yep.
how I how I show up today, like I can
Yes.
make that plasma
Yeah.
it's a co-creation between my
Yeah.
thoughts, my feelings, and what it's going to bring to my
Like,
into that life.
yeah, with a plasma glue. So like if you're resonating with it and you're in a space of curiosity, or if you have the thought or feeling, I would love to see a red cherry tree today, like it will resonate and probably bring it to you. Like we've all had those thoughts where we just kind of saying, not even like really emotionally, just like very playfully. Playfully is even better than emotions when you're programming this. When we're just kind of lightly saying, never thought about it again, and it always comes, that's the perfect way to exist. We can't all do that every day right now, but so it's like that's like the ultimate way is being playful. Then like right beneath that, you have like emotions where you are resonating and you're passionate, but there's always in this fourth dimensional emotional space, there's always like some attachment there. So, of course, because we're human. And then yeah, in the third dimensional space, it's like a desperation or need, and you almost never get what you
Right.
want.
Right.
What you
Exactly.
focus on, but you're usually wanting something and your subconscious is focusing on the lack of it, which is why you're never
Right.
resonating.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But so when you talk about the like even just recently when what drew me to you was when those
Yes.
plasmaoids or whatever you called them,
Plasmoids.
and the
Yeah.
drones were studying them.
Yeah.
And why do you think, like, I feel like the timing, it's just like, now that I've really like gone and the way the world is opening up and people are waking up, like, okay, finally, like, here we go. Like all the things that I used to say that people would say, oh, Ashley, you've drank the Kool-Aid. Well,
Lost it.
no,
Yeah. No.
you need to let's all drink the Kool-Aid now because it's
Yeah.
true. But
Yeah.
why now? Like, is it just part of the timeline of this universe that needs to see this, that understands that? Because when you were saying earlier that plasma, um it's like you could think of one thing and you could have it, right? Like you think of, like, that's where we're going,
Yeah,
like.
that is where we're going,
Yeah.
where it will be instantaneous for the most
Right.
part, like a more creative playful process. And maybe it will come not in the way we expect it or show up a little different, but the intention's there, if that makes sense. It's always like that where you envision your life and then it happens completely differently, but the essence is still the same. So,
Right.
that's what makes life interesting. If I wanted a red car and I got a red car or whatever I want to specifically. I mean, that would be so boring. Like that's why
Right.
plasma is intelligent, though. That's why I know that there's some kind of God or mystery or whatever it is. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Something is there creating some randomness in this, creating some mystery, some intelligence that's pre-programmed in this plasma, or I like to use the word imbued because we're not in a computer. It's imbued in this plasma to where yes, we're co-creating with it and we'll get exactly what we want when we say eventually, but it'll still be a little random or like a little different. So that's what makes it so exciting. Like something made that.
Right. But
So
what, like the reticular activating system in your brain,
yeah,
like that reminded me of like when I think of a red car,
you see them all.
that's all I see.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just simply, that's simply what you focus on, you bring more into your life. So, I mean, with the reticular whatever system, because I don't really know the word, that literally is just your consciousness interfacing with plasma, and you're just
Right.
seeing more. Yeah, yeah,
That's how, yes, because I've always known that. And I played games with the girls growing up about,
yeah,
we could call it the reticular activating game. Like I just show
yeah.
them how powerful they are. And like if you think of one thing, you're
You'll
going to
see it
see
all
it.
over.
And the next day, you're going to see 10 more. And then it's like, oh my gosh, or pick one thing a day and then you're going to find this, whatever. But that now I understand that's part of the
Why?
plasma. Yes.
Yes. So it basically that's why I'm like plasma is everything. Plasma just proves it makes it tangible how all these things work. It's not like I'm reinventing the wheel. Like it's not like I invented cognitive behavioral therapy or the reticular activating. I'm just putting it in a perspective where it's all of a sudden like this is why like this is what we're working with when that's happening. So yeah, I think that. And the plasmoid thing, sorry, I always get off topic. The truth is, like, do I know exactly why the plasmoids are showing up and exactly what they are? Obviously, no. But if I could give my educated guess and what I'm resonating with in my heart, I would say that I think it's either a consciousness from another timeline or our future selves. So like or from another world. That I don't know. I don't know who it is and where they're from. Only one could figure that out if they're actually in front of a plasmoid and they're open enough to receive that information, which is something else I could talk about. Um, but regardless of who they are and, exactly where they're from, I don't know. But I believe that what we're seeing is that plasma, that fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional plasma opening up a little bit of a portal where some kind of consciousness is either watching us, remote viewing us, or yeah, just observing us. Maybe it is a warning, to kind of get a little back on track. Maybe they're just excited because they know that we're merging with them. You know, it could be for anything, but obviously they're here because this is an important time in history, and they come around more obviously when we started building the power plants and fusion machines. They didn't really like that. Obviously, they don't like what's going on now. I mean, they don't like any war. I'm sure if we look back in history, every time there are wars in art, there's probably UFOs. So I'm thinking they're probably wondering when the heck we're going to get it together, because even violence is not evil. Violence is like intense fear from people.
Right.
So they're probably like, when are these people going to freaking wake up? And they're probably just us. And they're like, hello.
So, okay, now let's talk about black holes
Yeah.
because I was, well, that Jason Pageant guy.
Oh,
Oh,
just, yeah.
oh my gosh. Like,
He can talk, and I'll sometimes when he talks to me about math equations, and I'm pretty good at math, but I'm like, what did you just say?
wow. But when you're talking about, well, I was listening to you both talk. Jason Pageant people, if you want to look him up,
Mhm.
he's like beyond, like just like Dana. But
Acquired savant.
yeah,
But
what does that mean?
so he got hit in the head. So he was like a normal person, just like I kind of was. And then I don't mine happened from a heartbreak. So I should go down in history for the first acquired savant from a heartbreak. But I'm not saying I am, I'm just kidding. But he thinks I am. But no, he's like a textbook, like acquired savant, where he got hit in the head outside a karaoke bar, woke up, started seeing the world differently, like where he saw reality, which he calls plasma, by the way, now that I've given him like a term for
Yeah.
it. And he just saw how things work and he started drawing it. And then a physicist walked by in the mall and saw him drawing something. And he was like, you know that you're drawing pi or whatever, like the pi equation. I don't know what, something like that, some kind of story. And Jason went back to school, I think learned some physics and math, and then realized that everything he was seeing and saying was correct in math and physics. He just didn't have the right language for it. And he
Hmm.
says the kind of same thing with me. Like, even though I'm not speaking in those ways, he thinks I'm correct. He just thinks, like, to science and math people, they're like, have no clue exactly what I'm saying because there's not really like a
Yeah,
mathematical language for it yet. But I think he
right.
can create one, which is why it's so exciting to work with him as a friend.
Yeah. What's a savant?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got off topic again. A savant is someone who's just like a genius. So they're, yeah, like there's autistic savants. So an acquired savant is that he literally just acquired being a genius, like an incredibly high IQ, because something in his brain got crosswired when he got hit in the head. And now he's just a literal genius. So a savant is just a genius.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so talk about black holes and how the pupils, like in our eyes.
Mhm.
I mean, you've got my whole head like blown
Yeah.
off.
Yes. So I have a lot of theories about black holes, and I'm working on them every day. Um, I believe that, and maybe Stephen Hawking thought this too, but I think black holes project our reality as much as they intake our reality. I think people talk about black holes in such a violent way because, once again, the people who research this stuff, I think, have been colored by like the violence and logicalness of our life and materialism. And it's like if you just looked at a black hole through a lens that's more holistic and feminine, or even not feminine, even like childlike, to me, it's clear that they are just like our eyes, where they intake information in an invisible way. So in science, I would call it like antiphotons or something. Like it's taking in invisible light, or it's taking in it in so way where you can't see anything traveling into my eye, right? But black holes are taking it in. It's processing it in my little singularity in my brain, in my little fifth dimensional brain, my fourth dimensional brain, and it's pushing. Then I'm like, oh, okay, this, and then I'm pushing back out every moment, like almost projecting from my beliefs. So I'm seeing plasma, but I'm, also projecting out a new reality, if that makes any sense. So it's almost like, a complete feedback loop. And
Hmm.
that's how I see black holes. And I think what's coming out of a black hole is consciousness and plasma. And then I think we're interfacing it as awareness, and then it's coming through us and then going back in. And then they're like, whoever's living in there, our future selves, whatever, they're like, oh, they're learning this. And then they're pushing out. And it's literally just a macrocosm of what we do every second.
Right. I think
Yeah.
you're like, have you ever had like past life Akashic records where you're like an alien from a different planet and have all this information?
Well, okay, so I will say, and I'm curious if you've had, or anyone, or if you've had this, is my therapist has regressed me to past lives just because a lot of my trauma has also, not a lot, but some of my trauma started in past lives. And when we go, I went really far back in past life memories, and I thought this was so weird, but she just told me to say it, even if it sounded weird.
Hmm.
In one of them, I was like a piece of light, like or a piece of plasma, like I was just part of the sun or a star, and it blew up, and I got separated from my family. Like I was just a star that got died and got separated, and I had to process that, and I cried. Like it was
Huh.
so, I mean, and it's not like just me. I think every human, if they really go in their memory tank, will have that. It's not like I was the only star. It's like we're all coming from that. But I basically was processing, the split at the beginning of the universe when those things were happening. So I do have like and then yes, I have past lives like where I was in like a ship near the middle star of Orion's belt. It's called Analam, and I was on a ship nearby, and I was eternally seven, and I had these two parents who were very tall and had like elfish ears, and they weren't my real parents. They were just in charge of like getting these eternally seven kids ready to come to Earth to teach Earth stuff. And they brought me in this like, so we were all on a playground, and I see them standing there, and they were, I don't think I've ever said this before, but I see them standing there, and they like, I just knew it was time to go to Earth, and I didn't want to go because I was just playing. And they bring me in this room, they put me on like a metal slab, and then they flushed me down to earth, and I had to grieve like the loss of that. So I don't know, I just have the weirdest memory.
Isn't that interesting? What are your takes now with
Yeah.
aliens and the UFOs and all that? Like, when do you think,
Mhm.
it's like what we went to Bashar, a bunch of us went to Bashar
Yeah.
in Sedona uh,
Uh-huh.
in October. And he was talking about contact. That was basically the whole 2 days of what he was talking about. And how it's like he said within 5 years, but it could be within a month. He just said that was the time frame. But he was
Interesting.
explaining how it was going to look and safety, like they were going to come over the water and they were just like, so then after that, it kind of started. That was October. So
Yeah.
November is when all the other stuff was starting to happen with the drones. So
Whoa.
it was interesting. But what is your take on all that?
Okay, so obviously I still think there are a bunch of different consciousnesses, but I personally think like I love aliens, I love UFO stuff, right? But I think it's easy for a culture to get very caught up in alien stuff and get
Hmm.
distracted by it. It's like an outward projection of what's actually going on inside. If we like turn the focus in on ourselves, I think what a lot of which is not as cool to say in like the media or on the news, and you'll never hear anyone probably talking about this, but I always say the real disclosure is not out there, it's in here. And our future selves, our multidimensional selves, are the real disclosure merging with us, and they whisper to
Yes.
us. So it's like if people just took a second to face, and not if people do this all the time, but for people that don't, if you just take a second and face in and really get quiet and listen to those inner whispers, listen to your destinies, listen to your passions and take action on that, like that's the real disclosure. And that's the real disclosure.
Yeah, that was a mic drop for
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
because it's so true. And
Mhm.
that's how I feel lately. And I know it's like meeting people like you and like learning and expanding my mind more and understanding how I see the world and where I live and live in my vibration or energy field and creating and understanding that the powerful person we are and that we've been so dumbed down to believe that we're you know these
It's all
humans that
outside of us.
yeah, that's everything's, yeah, exactly. But when you say that, that is such a great way to understand, like we are disclosing our power.
Yes.
Yeah,
And if anything, the outer alien stuff is a literal just pure reflection, almost telling us that. Like that because I would like to think I don't project my beliefs onto those things. And my openness is telling me that they want us to know that the real disclosure is inside. And they're just simply reflecting that because they're smart. If they wanted to tell us something else, they would tell us. Like they
right.
would beam down here and tell us. Or if they wanted to hurt us, they would hurt us. They don't. But my point is like, guys, like I I think I once again, I don't think like I think it's cool. Like I love alien stuff and by all means like dive into it, but don't let it distract you and don't let it spiritual bypass you. Like so many of us would love to research aliens all day because we don't have to look at ourselves and what we need to fix in our actual lives, like our relationships, our past emotional, sexual, physical abuses. Like we'll never have to face ourselves if we keep thinking about all these outside magical things. Like it's
Right.
our inside magic and that will project outwards.
Right, for sure. That is really good.
Yeah.
So you went to the Monroe Institute, and I know you've shared that with everybody. Will you,
Yeah.
because I've done the gateway meditations,
Oh, mhm.
but like that just sounds like an amazing experience. Can you explain that experience that you had? Because it was magic.
I'm their number one unpaid marketer. I will say though, I did get a discount to go to their out of body because I obviously talked about it a lot, but I was the one that asked them, and they did not ask me to market them ever.
Oh,
I was
funny.
more like, hey, like if I do this, can I have some money off going? Because it's it's a little pricey, but either way, it's so worth it. Number one, a lot of people message me before I get into Monroe and they always start with I can't afford it. And I'm always like, guys, neither could I. And then I decided to go and the money came to me. Like, and I know that sounds fantastical and yes, you have to take action for to get there, but never say you don't have money for something because then you won't.
Right.
One is everyone deserves to have that amazing experience of going there. And it's so worth it. It's almost like paying for friends because
Yeah, I bet.
but so the Monroe Institute, I've done their gateway program and their out of body program. The Monroe Institute is a place, I believe it's been around since the 70s in Faber, Virginia. They also, I think, have a campus in Arizona and maybe in England or Japan. But Virginia is the place to go. That was the original place. And Robert Monroe wrote this book, Journeys Out of the Body, where he talks about all these out of body experiences. That's how it started. And they've evolved to train remote viewing, like Joe McMoneagle from the Stargate program trains remote viewing there. They teach, all types of out of body, from actually out of body to astral projection and bilocation. They teach energy healing. They teach how to travel your consciousnesses on different levels in the Gateway program. They teach spoon bending and like growing plants with your mind. That's the one I'm going to in the fall. So I'll
Oh, fun.
it's called MC squared. But basically their teachings are just expanding your consciousness. So like with all the stuff I study, once again, it's how I embody my teachings in real life. It's okay, like I can know all this stuff, I can talk about all this stuff, but like what am I actually doing in my life to expand myself? So that's a place I can retreat to, not be on my phone, and just have like an amazing experience with other people that want to talk about metaphysics and actually not be on our phones and eat good
Right.
food and be in the astral world.
Right. What talk about your out of body experience and how you have sleep paralysis.
Oh my God, yeah. So I have sleep paralysis like chronically, and I thought it was like this horrible thing for a lot of my life. And it does happen to a lot of people who've had like trauma or addiction. But what I've found out in the last few uh, years from a rapper on YouTube, actually,
Oh,
this
funny.
badass, yeah, is that sleep paralysis is a gift. It is not a curse. And it is because we're so fearful of things, is why it feels so scary to us when we have it, when people, can see demons or witches or think they're getting abducted. Sleep paralysis is literally just you coming you're coming out and going back in your body from going out of your body, and you get a little bit stuck or just, some glitching going on, or it's waking up while you're coming back in or going out. And your body, of course, is frozen. So when you sleep and have these dreams or projections, you won't run away and run off a cliff or run into your wall. So when you have sleep paralysis and you wake up while your body's sleeping, it can feel like you're dying or suffocating. And then your brain will start to hallucinate these demonic things because you're like, I'm freaking dying. Like, I'm so scared. When really, it's if you relax, whatever it is, it's kind of hard to explain, but when you relax into sleep paralysis or laugh, the one or maybe two times I did this, no, one time I was able to relax. I almost can never. It's not like I'm a pro at this. I relaxed, and I, instead of like getting the sleep paralysis and then like getting out of it, I went into my body and then I went out of my body, and I expanded into this like mist, and I was on an airplane, and I had like three different perspectives, like vantage points at once. And then I remember thinking, and I still had an individual consciousness. I still had a thought, which made me really believe in like the life after death and like having an individual consciousness. Cause I've always been scared. I don't want to merge into the all right after I die. Like, I want to still be me. And I think you still are still you, by the way. And you do merge and you're still you. But as soon as I get scared while I was in it, I got zapped back into my body and started having sleep paralysis. My point is, if you get sleep paralysis a lot, it's actually a really fun, people make themselves have it to go out of their body. So if you have it, try to take advantage, try to look at it from a playful, curious place, and go out of your body and use it.
Right.
Yeah.
When you do this mirror reflecting with your eyes.
Same.
Yeah. Explain that.
You're such a good interviewer. I have to interview with more people like you because you ask great questions.
Oh, good. Well, I've been studying. I didn't want to come
Yeah.
unprepared.
But that's a good interviewer. You know what? I'm definitely gonna. I hope you're gonna make a video of this, right? Because I'm gonna share it on my
Yeah.
YouTube. Okay, cool. Because I'm like loving good interviewing. Makes good answers. It's the synergy. It's the
Right.
plasma consciousness synergy. You're being plasma, and I'm being consciousness.
There, there you go.
Okay, what was your question?
The mirror gazing.
Oh, so mirror gazing is also something. Once again, it's all about perspective. So I say mirror gazing is when you look in the mirror, you look into your eyes like a soft gaze, maybe dim the lights a little. And after about 30 seconds, if you're looking at directly in your eyes, you will literally start to shape shift. Like your face becomes an old lady, it's became a cat, a dragon. It can sometimes look a little demonic. But remember, if we're not projecting our fear onto it, they're just beings. They don't have to be good or evil. They're all things we are. So it's really just, it's a fun way to not do drugs and have a cool spiritual experience and maybe journal about it or just explore. I always warn people if you do get very dissociative or have trauma you haven't worked on, I probably would advise not doing it because it can feel a little bit dissociating if you're not in a good headspace. But I think what society has done is like ruined it and call it Bloody Mary, or they call it like yeah, like looking in the mirror and seeing a demon, like mirrors are portals to demonic world or whatever. It's like, once again, those are just all projections of fear. And if you believe that, fine, like you'll make it that then. But why
Right.
believe that? Like, what? How is that helping any of us?
Right. Yes, I was, after I was listening to you do that, I can totally, when you look at your eyes, and then I was looking at my pupils as black holes, and I'm just like
Yeah,
staring at myself listening to you. I'm like, okay.
weird.
But it is
Yeah.
so true because you see your soul. You don't see when you look into your eyeballs,
Yes.
you
Yes,
know?
you see your soul, and you could do it with a partner too. I haven't had a good enough partner who'd wanted to do it with me. I will say, I won't say who this is, so I won't say what time when this happened in my life because it'll embarrass him. But I had an ex-boyfriend and who did do this with me, and we went in the dark and we were just sitting in the bathtub with our bathing suits. This is so weird. And we were looking in each other's eyes. And I don't know why the heck I recommended doing this, but I just did. And I saw a demon behind him, not in like an evil way, but in a way where I just knew he was not the right person for me and he had his own demons he hadn't worked on. And I stayed with him for like 2 years after that. But I remember thinking back to that, I was like, oh my God, like so weird.
Huh, that is weird.
Yeah.
Gosh,
He
this
ended
goes
up.
by fast. It's already been an hour, but I want you to share
Oh,
things. I want you to share something that, like what's on your mind, like that I haven't asked, that you want to share about plasma or whatever.
yeah, sure. I always like to share what just comes up, and I'm looking at a picture of my brother and me, which is making me think about connection. So I guess I'll say this, like for anyone that listens to me too or is listening to this, like one can get very logical or heady about plasma, and there is so much to discover about it and like metaphysics, math, science, mythology, whatever. The most important thing that plasma wants us to know, is about love. It's about loving ourselves. It's about being present with our family, not forcing ourselves to be, but if we're resonating with our family and they're people we love, get off your phone, listen to people openly. Don't judge people, family members, friends, like get to know people's heart and soul. Um, there we can be performative at times or we can worry how people think of us and it completely disconnects us. And plasma is here to remind us to connect in these loving and curious ways again. And once again, I didn't live my life this way mostly, and that's why I think I'm learning all these things and can talk about all these things because I've been at
Mhm.
the opposite end where I didn't, not because I was like sociopathic. I was actually very empathic and innocent, but I never tried to get to know anyone because I was so caught up with people. I wanted people to like me and validation, and like I was performing. I didn't have a chance to worry about what anyone was saying. I was so dissociated. So the point is, plasma is love and it is, imbued with benevolence and it wants to support us. And we are so supported. We are never alone. And yeah, it's just presence, whatever that means for you, especially with each other, is like wildly, but mostly actually with ourselves is wildly important. Just loving
Yes.
ourselves, connecting with ourselves, learning our inner magic, and then letting all this outside stuff be like a cherry on top. But if we can't know ourselves truly, um, life will never be as deep. Life will always, whatever we achieve out there will always come back empty.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, now let's finish with your book
Hmm.
that's coming out. That's so amazing that you did that.
Yes. Um, my book, it's called A New Force, Plasma Consciousness and the New Human Potential. I feel like I'm in the process of writing it. It's almost done. My editor and me have worked on the first 3 chapters. I think it'll have 6 chapters. Not like that matters. Let me think. It I, I don't even have words for it. I'm just so excited to see what people think reading it. I'm so excited also to be done with it so I can take some time once again to just like live in life. Like right now I'm
Right.
in this creative I'm having so much fun creating it, but at the same time like I never go outside because I'm always writing, but I know it will pay off. But beyond that, beyond just talking about myself, um, I really, really think that this book will help. So it's helping me write it. Like,
I bet.
I don't know who the heck's channeling through plasma, but like I'm learning so much from it and I'm on the journey with everyone. And I just think I'm so curious like what everyone will gain from it in their own hopefully it points everyone back at their own power. Like I want to always be a bridge. I never want to be like a teacher or leader per se. I want to be more of like a resonant bridge that helps people make connections and points back at like your own power. It's like you decide how you have a relationship with this. Like, don't let me tell you how to do that. But hopefully, my book just makes you realize that, like, there is this power in you.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Oh, Dana, it's been so fun. I loved meeting you. I knew
Yes.
I would. I felt like I knew you just from watching you so much, but
Yes. No, it's
I
been
get,
great talking to you too. Like, before we got on to everything you said, it's very helpful for me.
oh, good. I love it. Well, everyone can find you. Your website's amazing. You have clothes, you
Thank you.
have
I made it.
cute sweatshirt. You made it?
Yes, it took me like 2 weeks and a lot of screaming at my walls while I was making that website because I taught myself how to do it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Right.
And your merch.
Yes, my plasma merch. If you guys want plasma sweatshirts, they're real. I wear them. I wear my own sweatshirts. They're comfortable. They're great. Go get one.
Do people come up to you and say, "What's plasma?"
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why I make them
Yeah,
because it really is it has been difficult for me to make conversation or make friends. I'm sure it's a bit of my own anxiety and about a bit about people just judging people or like not wanting to come say hi, even though I'm literally the nicest person ever. And the sweatshirts immediately disarm people. Like number one, it helps me connect with someone and it helps them come up to me. And then number two, it helps me talk about what I love. And then I can also listen to them once we get engaged, obviously. But
right.
yeah, it's a fun
Oh.
thing.
So it's your website's what?
Dana Kippel, DanaKippel.com.
Okay.
And then my Instagram is Dana.thealien. And my YouTube is at Plasma Intelligence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll connect again and do a part two so I can go deeper.
Yes, and I was going to say the books I'm writing are a trilogy, so I'll have a lot more to say.
Oh, good. Oh, fun.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.